You know her face, but not her story. She stands beside the most feared leader on earth, wrapped in luxury, cloaked in silence. But who is R.I. Solju really? A first lady? Or a carefully crafted illusion? In a nation where freedom is forbidden, her life isn't hers, it's a strategy. Every smile, every dress, every step beside Kim Jong-un is designed to sell an image of control, an image of perfection, an image that hides something much darker. Because in North Korea, nothing is random, not even a wife. Her name, her past, her presence, they've all been rewritten, erased, remote, repackaged for power. And behind the camera flashes is a woman whose identity, voice, and freedom have been taken away. This isn't just a love story. It's a life under surveillance. And what you're about to see is the side of North Korea they never wanted you to find. Chapter 1. The First Lady with No Name. In North Korea, power isn't just held at stage, and no one plays a quieter role on a grander stage than Ri Solju. You may know her as the wife of Kim Jong-un, but the truth? We don't even know her real name. Ri Solju is widely believed to be a pseudonym, a manufactured identity crafted by North Korea's propaganda machine to control the narrative. Her background? Classified. Her early life? Erased. The regime has gone to extreme lengths to delete any trace of who she was before marriage. Why? Because in a regime built on the illusion of perfection, nothing can appear spontaneous. The image of the First Lady must be pure, clean, and strategic, and that means rearranging her story from scratch. Reports suggest she was once a performer, a singer in a prestigious North Korean musical troupe. A woman with talent, expression, and a stage presence of her own. But in Kim Jong-un's North Korea, that freedom posed a threat. So the regime acted fast. Photos vanished, videos disappeared. And suddenly she wasn't a performer anymore, she was the First Lady. Her voice, her choices, even her name, all repackaged for propaganda. She became less of a person and more of a symbol. A symbol of loyalty, of obedience, of silence. So while the world watches her smile next to Kim, remember this. Behind the smile may be a woman who can't even speak her own name. This isn't just a love story. It's a strategy. And in North Korea, strategy always wins. Chapter 2. From pop star to pup. Before she became the silent shadow beside Kim Jong-un's, Ri Solju had a voice. She wasn't born a symbol. She was a performer, a vocalist for North Korea's prestigious Unhashu Orchestra. She sang on grand stages, smiled under spotlights, and moved crowds not with power, but with passion. For a moment, she was famous on her own terms. But in North Korea, fame can be dangerous. The moment her relationship with Kim Jong-un began, her past was erased. Photos of her performances? Deleted. Videos of her on stage? Scrubbed from public view. Any trace of her career as an entertainer vanished in what experts call a full-state censorship operation. Why? Because in a dictatorship, your past isn't yours. A woman known to the public must not have a history that threatens the regime's script. A glamorous, talented singer doesn't fit the role of a supposedly humble First Lady who represents discipline, purity, and blind loyalty. So the regime made a choice. They took her voice and replaced it with silence. Her talent became a livelihood. Her freedom became a threat. And in return, she was rebranded, remade, not as a woman of art, but as a tool of propaganda. Today, she appears in tightly managed public events, carefully dressed, perfectly choreographed, But behind that poise is a woman who once held a microphone and now can't even speak freely. This is the cost of love in a dictatorship. This is the price of marrying power. From spotlight to silence, from pop star to puppet. Chapter 3: Marriage by Command. In most countries, marriage is a choice. In North Korea, it's an order. According to multiple intelligence reports, Ri Sol-ju didn't just fall in love with Kim Jong-un. Their marriage was arranged, a strategic union handpicked by Kim Jong-un himself. This wasn't about romance, it was about legitimacy. At the time, Kim Jong-un was young, unproven, and largely unknown to the world. He was the heir to a brutal dynasty but lacked the image of a leader. North Korea needed to rebrand him fast. And what better way than with a stylish, elegant, smiling wife? Ri Sol-ju was the perfect choice. Beautiful, educated, disciplined, and most importantly, silent. Her presence beside him became part of a broader plan to humanize the dictator, to create the illusion of normalcy, to make him look modern, approachable, almost Western. Every appearance was calculated. Every smile, every outfit, every subtle nod of affection was crafted for the cameras. This wasn't love. This was political theater. But behind the flashbulbs and headlines is a harsher truth. She had no say. Sources say her family was elevated in status, reportedly given rewards and protection, but in return, she gave up her life, her freedom, her voice. Because in North Korea, a wife isn't a partner, she's a symbol. And as Kim Jong-un tightened his grip on power, Ri became a key piece on his chessboard. Not a queen, a move. So next time you see them together, remember this. What looks like a royal couple may be a strategic alliance, forged not in love, but in loyalty to a dynasty. Chapter 4: Motherhood under Pressure. In most families, pregnancy is a celebration. In North Korea, it's a state secret. When Sol-ju disappears from public view, it doesn't go unnoticed. But no official explanation is ever given, no statements, no headlines, just silence. And in a regime built on control, silence is never random. Multiple reports suggest these disappearances are linked to childbirth, moments that in any normal country would be marked with joy. But in North Korea, the First Lady's body is a tool of dynastic preservation. She is believed to have given birth to at least 3 children, including a son. Yet not one has been officially introduced to the public. Not a name, not a photo, not even a confirmation. Why? Because in the Kim dynasty, bloodline is everything. A male heir isn't just a child. He's a symbol of continuity, a future leader, a living insurance policy for the regime. And for Ri Sol-ju, that means one thing. Her value is tied to her womb. She doesn't just carry children, she carries the future of a dictatorship. And with that comes immense pressure and potential consequences. What happens if she can't produce a son? What if she falls ill? What if she's no longer deemed useful? In a country where dissent is crushed, even being a first lady offers no protection. Her absences spark whispers, her silence fuels fear, and behind the soft smiles and expensive fashion lies a truth few dare to speak. Ri Sol-ju isn't just a mother, she's a symbol of survival in a dynasty cage. Because in North Korea, even motherhood isn't personal, it's political. Chapter 5: The Silent Battle Within the Family. Being married to a dictator is dangerous, but being his sister-in-law might be even more lethal. Inside North Korea's royal family, there is one woman who doesn't smile for the cameras, doesn't play the role of the obedient wife, and still holds power. Her name is Kim Yo-jong, and she's not just Kim Jong-un's sister, she's his enforcer. Kim Yo-jong runs propaganda, influences military policy, and has been seen standing closer to power than Ri Sol-ju has. This isn't just about family. This is a silent power struggle between two women who live in the shadow of one man, but for very different reasons. On one side, you have Ri Sol-ju, control and crafted to humanize the regime. On the other, Kim Yo-jong, cold, calculating, and untouchable within the party. And here's the brutal truth: only one woman can be closest to power. Behind the marble walls, beyond the photo ops, there's a psychological chess match. Our eye must stay useful, a symbol, because if she slips, even slightly, Kim Yo-jong could erase her from history without ever raising her voice. This isn't a soap opera. It's a game of survival. Ri Sol-ju must balance obedience with presence, elegance with relevance, all while knowing her biggest threat lies under the same roof. Because in North Korea, even family can be a political threat. And when the most powerful women in the country share the same bloodline, only one gets to become a legacy. The other? Just a name that stops appearing on state television. Chapter 6: Curated Perfection, the Image Machine. Every time Ri Sol-ju steps into the public eye, it's a performance. In North Korea, appearances aren't accidents. They are strategy. And when the First Lady is seen in public, you can bet that every detail has been scripted. Her outfits are always immaculate: designer coats, silk gloves, tasteful heels. It looks effortless, but it's calculated. Her fashion isn't just style, it's state-crafted propaganda. Ri Sol-ju is the face of controlled elegance in a country that doesn't allow freedom. She appears beside Kim Jong-un only when necessary, never too much, never too little, always just enough to make the regime look modern, stable, normal. But here's the twist. Outside her choreographed presence, North Korea is starving. The people see her smiling in French coats while they wait in lines for powdered corn and soap. She is presented as a symbol of prosperity while her country lives in isolation and fear. It's not just about clothing, it's about movement. Her body language is scripted. Her nods, her waves, her distance from Kim, everything is planned to show unity, femininity, submission, and absolute control. This is the machine. A machine that turns a woman into a message. A first lady into a silent billboard for the regime. And while cameras click and the world sees the illusion of progress, one truth remains. Ri Sol-ju's image isn't hers. It's theirs. Because in North Korea, even a smile can be a status issue. And the most powerful message is one you never even hear her say. Chapter 7: No divorce, no exit. In North Korea, marriage isn't a commitment. It's a lifetime contract with power. When Ri Sol-ju became the First Lady of the regime, she didn't just marry a man, she married a myth, a legacy, a dictatorship. And once inside that world, there is no escape. Unlike the rest of the world, where relationships end and freedom begins again, North Korea has no divorce laws for the elite. Not because marriages don't fail, because failure isn't allowed. In a nation where appearances mean survival, Ri's position depends on one thing: loyalty without flaw. There are no second chances, no emotional breakdowns, no moment to step away, because the day she stops serving her purpose, wife as symbol, as polished as propaganda, is the day she risks vanishing from history. Just like others before her, leaders, relatives, trusted allies, all removed without a trace. And while the world may see her as a woman dressed in designer coats beside her husband, behind that image is someone trapped by a system that never lets go. If she ever disobeys, if she ever falls out of favor, there's no divorce, only disappearance. That's why R.I. Solju must be perfect every time, because in this marriage, love isn't a factor. Obedience is. And even as First Lady, she holds no power of her own. Her survival is conditional, her voice scripted, her future fragile, her life dependent on staying in vision, unless summoned. So the next time you see her standing quietly beside Kim Jong-un, ask yourself, is that a partner in power or a silent hostage wearing a smile? Because in this regime, there is no exit strategy. And for Ri Solju, the only way out may be never. Chapter 8. A life of luxury or a cage of control. On the surface, her life looks perfect. She lives in palaces, wears designer fashion, sits next to the most powerful man in North Korea. But behind every elegant photo, behind every graceful wave, lies a question that no one in her country is allowed to ask. Is Ri Solju a queen or a prisoner wrapped in silk? She is the first lady of the world's most secretive regime, and while her role comes with luxury, it also comes with a price. A price paid in freedom. She doesn't speak freely. She doesn't travel alone. She doesn't even age publicly. Everything you see, from her clothes to her smile, is a carefully curated performance designed to uphold a myth. The myth that the Kim family is stable, modern, human. Beneath that image is a darker reality. A reality where her life is scripted, her history erased, her future uncertain. Yes, she lives in opulence. Yes, she dines in marble halls. But the question is not what she wears. It's what she's allowed to think, to feel, to want. Because in North Korea, a woman like Ri Solju doesn't belong to herself. She belongs to the narrative. She's not just a person. She's a prop carefully placed beside a dictator to sell a story to the world. And yet, there's something haunting about her silence, something powerful in what's never said. Is she complying or surviving? Does she believe in the regime? Or is she trapped within it? We may never know. Because in a country where truth is forbidden, questions can be damned. So now we turn the question to you. Is Ri Solju the most controlled woman on earth? Or the most strategic? Is she the symbol of power? Or its silent victim? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because sometimes the loudest story is told by the one who never speaks. So now you've seen what the cameras never show. The palaces, the silence, the power wrapped in fear. Ri Solju isn't just the first lady, she's the most visible mystery in the world. She lives in unimaginable luxury, but it comes at a cost few could survive. Her name was changed, her past erased, her words monitored, her entire existence engineered to support a regime built on control. And while the world debates her elegance, her true life may be defined by something far more chilling: her lack of choice. In America, we celebrate the freedom to love, to speak, to leave. But in North Korea, even love is political. Even motherhood is strategic. Even silence speaks volumes. And sometimes it's the woman smiling who has the least power of all. There are no public interviews, no candid moments, no trace of what she really thinks. Only a polished image built to fool the world. You see through it. So ask yourself, is she complacent or captive? Is she the ultimate insider or the quietest victim? If this story opened your eyes, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, we read every one. And don't forget to subscribe to Billionaire Zone, where we reveal the power behind the curtain. Because here, we don't just tell stories, we expose what power tries to hide. And sometimes the quietest person holds the loudest truth.